今天非常感谢各位莅临我们的台湾与新加坡智慧医疗高峰论坛暨新书发表会。那本次活动呢，将由3个部分组成，由开幕致辞、新书介绍以及座谈讨论。Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Very appreciate for all you guys joining us in this beautiful chamber throughout this wonderful journey about the healthcare Taiwan-Singapore summit meeting and absolutely the book launch event. This party will be composed of 3 parts and the opening remarks, introduction of the medicine without mask, and finally the panel discussion. And in the end of this, we need to have a group photo that will be very important. So let us begin. 我们现在呢即将开始由开幕致辞的部分，我们希望呢能够邀请到我们的黄奇源总裁来为我们致辞。Please welcome C 位黄 have a distinguished and lovely speech.
Thank you. Good morning. 各位女士、各位先生、各位先进各位媒体的朋友，大家好。And allow me to back and forth English and Chinese. Welcome to the Taiwan-Singapore Digital Medicine Summit and Book Launch Event this morning. 非常谢谢大家来参加。那我是黄奇源，那我有几个角色我自己本身那些认识我人知道我是这个一个投资银行家，已经做了37年，同时我是东南亚影响力联盟 Southeast Asia Impact Alliance 的这个 founder. Southeast Asia Impact Alliance 呢，我们跟we work together with in US, the very closely in May this year. We had a Taiwan-Singapore Families Office Forum in Singapore, hugely successful, and this is the follow-up event on that. On September 11th, we also had a geopolitical summit, the in Taipei, also supported and cooperated with NUS NIC, NUS International Council. My affiliation or my partnership with NUS is because I'm the only Taiwan background director sit on the board of NIC. So that I work very closely with the NIC parties in the last the 5-6 years. Today we are going to talk about one very important trend. The digital medicine, or in Taiwan 我们叫智慧医疗 smart healthcare, different names. But I think you understand. First is digital, so it's AI, smart, and the second is healthcare. Medicine, whatever you call it. And we are very fortunate and honored to work with Ding Ho, of NUS, the medical school. The medical school is the best in Asia, established Yang Luling 医学院 established in 1905 and number 1 rank in Asia. And they have 有一个数位医疗中心 Digital Health Care Center, Wisdom, chaired by Ding Ho. And Ding Ho is originally from Taiwan. His parents from Taiwan, and then he has a team. 他们的数位医疗有超过100个人在这个智慧医疗。I think a lot of people, in the past, work with Taiwan, talk with Taiwan on this subject. But this is the first time, as far as I know, Taiwan, Singapore formally, doing this together. So we are very honored for your participation, and we have so many distinguished guests today. 我们等一下开幕致辞就1、2、3、4、5位重量级的贵宾要帮我们这个actually 6位重量级的贵宾帮我们致辞。So without further ado, I will now pass to Dave, and also, 就不一一的唱名张委员，还有这个周所长，还有很多今天我们的贵宾我就不一一唱名。There are so many of you, excuse me for not being able to mention you name by name, but this is a rare occasion. We really appreciate you coming over. I think today's event is very meaningful, and we look forward to have this landmark event and this the fabulous beginning of cooperation between Taiwan and Singapore in smart healthcare. Dave.
Very appreciate for such wonderful and sensational speech. 那接下来呢，我们邀请下一位的嘉宾是卫生福利部部长薛瑞元先生为我们致辞，透过这个影像。Upcoming is 薛瑞元 the Ministry of Health and Welfare.
黄奇源总裁、何鼎博士、吴新颖立法委员、各位贵宾、各位先进，大家好。在这个充满挑战和机会的时代，数位医疗和人工智慧技术的迅速发展，为我们带来突破性的进展。 使我们能够以更智慧、迅速的方式提供更好的医疗服务。疫情加速了远距医疗的进展，医疗模式由机构为中心转向以病人为中心的整合照护。为因应新常态，本部修正通讯诊查治疗办法以及医疗机构电子病历制作及管理办法，放宽通讯诊疗相关的规范，强化电子病历安全，推动无纸化，订定云端服务及病历交换标准等，为智慧医疗的发展奠定基础。特别感谢何鼎博士为我们带来新书《Medicine Without Med》，书中介绍了什么是数位医疗，并从投资人、病人及医疗体系等面向来讨论数位医疗的解决方案，以及数位医疗商业化、产品化过程的困难及其解决的方案。这本书不仅是他多年研究和实践的结晶，更是对数位医疗未来发展的深刻思考。衷心感谢主办方的用心安排，邀请多位致力推动数位医疗的贵宾与会分享。相信这一次的论坛将为我们带来丰富的启发和深刻的思考，让我们携手共建数位医疗的未来。谢谢大家。
非常感谢薛部长为我们带来非常好的美言哦。接下来另外一位重量级是我们的唐凤数位发展部部长 Audley Town Ministry of Digital Affairs。
大家好，我是唐凤，很高兴参加台新智慧医疗高峰论坛。生技医药是台湾的核心战略产业。我们行政院长陈建仁院长在今年的生技产业策略咨议委员会议 BTC 表示，希望生医产业成为台湾下一个兆元产业。我们数位部秉持全民数位韧性的核心理念，我们协助产业在数位领域驱动新的商业模式、新的应用服务，这个是我们重要的推动方向。因此，本部持续协助生医产业进行数位转型，导入数位创新的工具，特别是在智慧医疗和照护服务上。我们期待借由我们资讯服务业者结合技术的优势，发展符合国内所需便利的智慧医疗工具服务，加速转型，而且透过产官学研社共同努力，借由国际合作推动相关产业的创新发展。在此，我非常感谢东南亚影响力联盟办理这一次的台新智慧医疗高峰论坛，邀请到何鼎博士分享在《Medicine Without Meds》这本书里面实际案例和研究的成果，促进台湾智慧医疗产业的跨国交流，拓展我们的崭新视野。我诚挚地邀请各位为台湾以及全球的数位未来共同努力，预祝本次活动圆满顺利 ，Live long and prosper。
感谢唐凤部长为我们带来的祝福。那接下来呢，我们将邀请张玉美立法委员，请立法委员上台，请各位给予掌声鼓励鼓励。
谢谢，这黄总裁，各位贵宾哦，还有我们国外的何博士啊，各位贵宾啊，今天很高兴来参加我们今天的台湾跟新加坡的医疗科技的论坛。刚刚我听了唐凤先生讲的，在我们疫情之后呢，台湾呢把这个医疗科技这个精准医疗当成是我们的兆元产业，也就是政府最支持的我们的目前核心战略产业。在疫情当中呢，我们有很多陆续的这个发明，在医疗科技、远距医疗、数位医疗等等。台湾有最好的医疗量能，还有最世界很亮眼的 ICT 产业，可是并没有好好发挥。照理是强强结合，但是没有好好发挥。我在卫环委员会，就是大家最认识的一个委员会，我一直在推动医疗与科技的发展。在行政院院长，我在质询他的时候，卫福部长、科技部长，我都同时问他们说，为什么医疗科技没有结合 就像我们东南亚影响力联盟的詹女士詹董事长，她刚刚就跟我讲要应用出来呀。那我们看看我们台湾首位智慧医疗医院，新加坡在前年的时候是7家，台湾只有1家。我们最强的医疗科技强要结合，结果只有1家，新加坡就7家。那今年呢，好不容易我们4家了，新加坡又9家智慧医院。那台湾第1家智慧医院的院长，台中荣总陈世安院长，他说医疗科技在台湾临床医疗不懂的市场，这个詹董事长不懂，他说医疗临床不懂的市场，科技不懂的医疗，所以怎么结合啊？今天我来参加，我本来是今天有公听会，但是我觉得这很重要，一定要传达台湾人目前在做的医疗科技，还有新加坡你成功的，毕竟你们智慧医院前年是7家，今年是9家，对不对？我们就来比较来讲，我们这方面呢，就是我们再讲一下陈世安院长讲的，我们的医疗科技在台湾就能成为论文的研究，没办法成为应用，没办法成为应用呢。所以我们看看全世界是不是也如此？其实也是如此，不是台湾，我们看 Google， 还有呢这个 IBM 等等，都是我记得是2018年吧，好像这个 Google 成立一个医疗科技的一个部门，后来呢那个执行长叫 David 吧，后来2年后离职了。 Google 一样的，那也就是为什么在这边就很重要，当我们谈这些的时候，我们要有些医疗的人，我们要医疗人参加，然后科技的人也要一起来成立一个平台。所以卫福部薛部长讲说，对的，我需要的是跨部门的合作，不是只有科技部、卫福部还有经济部，要把这东西要生产出来，卖得出去。还有最重要一个法规2021年 WHO 提到，就是 AI 导入医疗要有规范，要大家有遵循的目标。然后呢，欧盟已经成立了 AI 导入这个金融机构，所以在今年我们10月的时候，台湾金融机构导入了 AI 的一些的规范与伦理。那台湾全世界正在要导入 AI 在医疗方面的伦理与治理。因为没有伦理与框架，所以很多投资人不敢投资，对不对？因为不知道他将来怎么样，所以很多发明者，这个创新公司他没有遵循，所以他不知道能够创造什么有价值的产品。所以在这边我觉得这个论坛很好，我在卫环委员会，然后呢黄总裁呢现在呢把这个论坛带入台湾联合到这个台湾这个新加坡黄总裁刚刚我提到，就是因为你有这个先知，所以把这个平台建立好。那我们呢就台湾呢目前呢这个在我们医疗科技，我们以为强结合，我们还是要跟新加坡学习，因为他智慧医院赢过我们。然后呢我们希望在明年我们智慧医院能够跟新加坡能够至少往上提高多几家医院，才能够成为唐凤先生说的兆元产业。今天我很高兴来到这边跟大家分享，因为呢我在卫环委员会，我实在太关心医疗科技。在整个这个卫环委员会在立法院里面，我在上星期跟我们的行政院长提到上星期总质询时我提到8个会期里面，每一个会期我都提到医疗科技。因此我跟前一个吴部长，这个第一会期我就问他说，什么叫医疗科技 ABCD？ 他答了 A， 当然都知道 AI 等等， B 他 D 答不出来。后来我说 Big Data OK， 4个你答了3个，很棒了。所以我现在在立法院，人家称我为医疗科技 ABCD 立委。所以呢今天加入大家的这个论坛，我真的觉得我实在很多话要跟大家分享。在这边呢，我觉得我已经跟大家重点提到了 我们立法院一定会为大家你提出来我刚刚的法规伦理。如果有这框架之下呢，你们还有我们投资人就有信心投资，让我们的这个产业，所以我刚刚说要经济部也要进来，让我们的产业发展大家可以使用的医疗科技的产品，好不好？谢谢大家，谢谢。
感谢张委员为我们画龙点睛。接下来我们邀请周建宏资诚联合会计师事务所所长为我们致辞，请热烈掌声鼓励。
Dr. Ho and President Huang and distinguished guests, good morning. Let me switch to Chinese. 我很高兴来参加这个新书发表会哈。那这个跟这个今天这个论坛哈，那我想这个刚好 PwC 台湾还有新加坡对这议题也非常非常重视哦。所以其实我们在2020年就出版这个数位大未健康大未来哈。那我们这2年也出了2份刊物。跟这个精准这个医疗还有精准检测相关的，我们后续会持续出哦。那刚好前一阵子 PwC 新加坡也出了一个数位医疗白皮书哦，好像 Dr. Ho 也是参与这个 project part of the study of the Singapore digital medicine and 所以这个刚好资诚就 PwC 台湾也有参与这个白皮书的这个制作哈，所以我想这个是这个大家都认为这是一个非常非常重要的未来了哦。那我想这个更重要的是 PwC 其实我们希望提供的是一个所谓的 one-stop service for all medical related service 哦。所以我们的专业大家会想说会计，但是我们其实除了传统的财税，我们这个 Only Lee 他是专门并购的专家，特别是在生医产业的。那我们也有这个负责对外授权的，也有市场准入的，我们有律师、法律等等的，所以就是一个整合性的服务所以各位如果说未来有什么这些东西的话，除了这个拜读我们的 Dr. Ho 的新书以外，也有任何的服务也可以找我们 PwC。好，那我就预祝这个 Dr. Ho you have successful selling of your books and also everybody have the good health. Thanks.
非常感谢非常精湛的这个致辞。那接下来我们要邀请吴欣盈立法委员透过影像为我们献上最好的祝福。
数位医疗能够提升医疗品质，在台湾迈入高龄化社会的时候呢，其实老年人的服务跟照护会持续增加。为了台湾的医疗永续，数位医疗是必须发展的。我在立法院推出数位医疗条例，就是使用特别法。里头涵盖4个区块，包含了医疗照护、药事服务以及健康促进科技产品等管理。里头有几个特点，第一是加强数位医疗的基础法制框架，这样子的话，医疗环境才能更友善，促进数位化产业政策的推动。第二是医疗资料的2次利用，在确保个资隐私保护的情况之下，要促进医疗共享交流，提升医疗的数据的更有效的运用。第三，远距医疗的推动是检视医疗人士的人事负担以及城乡的差距。第四，是医疗监理沙盒的制度成立，这个促进科技可以鼓励创新，让新科技跟商品都更快速的能进入实验，同时能确保它的安全性。最后，我要感谢黄奇源总裁的邀请，上个月其实我的办公室跟 Dean Ho 也做了一场数位医疗的线上讨论。过去这几年来，我个人也与新加坡有许多的交流，包含世界经济论坛、Milken Institute for Philanthropy、理工2学校，还有星光医院。AI 在数位上的运用，绝对是世界的趋势，是无法阻挡的。新加坡在2018年推动了远距医疗以及医疗监理沙盒，2年之后，在2020年也把修法纳入开放监理的模式，催生许多新创科技以及商品。台湾是非常适合推动数位医疗的环境，我们拥有强大的 ICT 领域跟产业，可惜我们的法规持续 跟不上国际的趋势。所以也非常感谢今天，据我了解 PwC 也会与新加坡、台湾、美国跟挪威一起合作一份数位医疗发展的报告，我很期待能阅读。今天是台湾数位医疗高峰论坛的启动，也是一个里程碑。我在立法院推动数位医疗条例的同时，也非常高兴在线上跟大家在大会相见。相信透过今天的活动， Dean Ho 以及黄总裁会激出更多的火花，我也很期待，这也可以提升台湾人民的健康福祉，同时也希望今天的大会圆满顺利。谢谢大家。
感谢吴新颖立委为我们做出非常绝美的赞词。接下来下一位是杨宏仁，敏盛医疗集团执行长。
各位好朋友大家好，我是杨宏仁，民生医疗体系的执行长。首先我要恭喜台新智慧医疗高峰论坛成功举办，也恭喜新加坡国立大学何鼎教授的新书发表。智慧医疗和人工智慧 AI 一样，都是近年崛起的热门话题，但是大家对于这两个题目的未来面貌仍然众说纷纭。唯一可以确定的是，智慧医疗的时代已经来临，我们必须展开双手拥抱它，才能够真正的与时俱进。作为医疗从业人员，我们对于智慧医疗、精准医学以及人工智慧都有高度的期待，当然心里难免也怕受到伤害。不过就过去历史的发展历程看来，所有科技的发明都是为了让人类的生活更加美好，也能够带来巨大的经济价值。智慧医疗这个题目在这2年特别的热门，主要是因为 Newsweek 开始对全球的智慧医院做出排名，而且为智慧医院的各个面向做出具体的定义，让业者可以有脉络可循。这是一个重要的里程碑，今天这个高峰论坛的举办也是这个里程碑的重要环节。在此我再次祝福台新智慧医疗高峰论坛顺利成功，大家健康快乐，谢谢。
非常精湛的致辞哦，非常高兴我们终于完成第一部分。接下来我们要紧锣密鼓进入今天最重要的压轴，就是新书介绍。We're so pleased about such speech being properly delivered in the morning. Now we're moving into the part of the introduction of a medicine without math. But prior to the beginning, there will be additional co-authors who are going to take the chance conduct the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Agatar, who will lead the speech and the presentation.
Hi everyone. Does it work? Yes. Thank you so much for having us here. It's a really great pleasure to be here in Taiwan and in Taipei, and thank you so much for all your hospitality. My name is Agatha Blasiak, and together with Johan Sapanel and Dean Ho, we are the co-authors of Medicine Without Meds, Transforming Patient Care with Digital Therapies. We had an opportunity for launch events in UK, Luxembourg, Italy, last week in Singapore, and we are delighted to be here and talk to you today and show a little bit of our contribution to the vibrant ecosystem of digital health, hopefully also here in Taiwan. This book has 2 objectives. The first objective is to further show awareness of digital therapies with shared language to talk about it. Because what we realized quite early on working in digital medicine space is that it requires so much of the collaborative effort that the involved parties often have a slightly different understanding and slightly different priorities. So the engineers would be very much focused on the technological aspects. The medicine folks, the doctors, would be very much focused on the clinical outcomes. And we cannot forget about the business. So how to implement stuff and spread the access to those technologies through business opportunities. So we wanted to find ways to introduce shared language for all of those different parties to work together and further share awareness of digital therapies. The second objective is to provide a blueprint on how to coin the potential into the benefit to the patients. So it's easy to have ideas. It's not so easy, but let's say somewhat easy to run a pilot. But how to roll things out, find the go-to-market, how to identify the right problems for this type of solutions, because it cannot be applied to everything. The book preparation journey started with admitting to ourselves we don't know it all, but we are pretty good at asking questions. Let's ask the experts in the respective areas of healthcare, technology, business, social sciences, consumer behavior, government, policymakers, learn from their experience, the good and the bad, and build the resource to support the digital therapies ecosystem. And without those 70 contributors from 15 countries, this book would have been very different. And other party that I need to acknowledge is the team that is also present in here. We're asking a lot of questions and we're searching for answers. And this process definitely has also helped to shape this book. And with that, I hope that our small contribution of this blueprint that you all have with you now can support the digital therapy innovation and ultimately what really matters, putting it in the hands of the patients. I will now welcome Johan to the stage. Thank you. Shisha.
Thank you, Agata. And so, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, everyone. So sorry, I will continue in English if it's okay, or maybe in French if you want, but Chinese will be a bit difficult for me. But again, thanks for being here on this morning with us. It really means a lot to us. So thanks again for your support. So as Agata mentioned, so I'm Johan. I'm the head of health innovations for Wisdom, our institute for digital medicine under the NUS, the National University of Singapore, and one of the co-authors with Agata and Dino. So as Agata mentioned, 3 years ago, we really wanted to create this roadmap to accelerate digital innovation to patients, right? And it took us about a year plus to conduct these 70 interviews, to write the manuscript, but also to get to have a book proposal. And then quickly we realized that without a leading literary agency, we will not be able to get to a leading publishers. So this is when Frank Levin, that you might know, the former US ambassador in Singapore, introduced us to Newson Woolwork Media, a literary agency. They liked our projects and agreed to represent us. And this is when our book proposal was submitted to different publishers from the US to Europe to this part of the world in Asia Pacific. And Johns Hopkins, the America's leading and oldest university press, they were the first one to basically express their interest. And this marked the beginning of a few months of a peer review process as well as a copy editing process when every single line and sentence that you see in the book or read in the book have been scrutinized many times by a lot of different experts and individuals. So next in line was the design of a book cover. And while it's typically the responsibility of the publishers, we as a team, we wanted to be involved, and Johns Hopkins agreed for us to come back with a couple of options. And this is Enter Shen. Shen is a Singaporean leading illustrator, award-winning illustrator and designer. And you see here on this slide some of her portfolio of designs and hard works. And basically what we ask her is to bring our manuscript, to bring our book to life, and with the outstanding book cover that you have now with you. So let me walk you through the few months and some of the iterations that we had with the book cover. So this was her first sketch in August 2022, so kind of a year plus ago. And what we really wanted is for the patients, for you and I as potential patients, as individuals, to play an important place or role in this book cover. And that's why you see this person seated on their bed at home, looking out into this giant digital window that is projected from the phone. And from the eyes of this person and from the phone, you basically get to see a behind the scenes glimpse of digital therapeutics, right? Patients, physicians, clinicians, researchers, all of them developing and engaging in this new class of medicines, digital therapeutics, being at home in the community or our hospitals, basically. And then over the last couple of months, we did a bit of experiments with the title. As you could see, we did a bit of experiments with the colors. And in March this year, John Hopkins agreed to go ahead with a final book cover that you see in front of you of the slide along with the title. The book was ready for publications. So the book is now live, and in 3 weeks, basically, we got the best seller spot on Amazon Singapore and Kinokuniya Singapore. I was checking this morning. The book is available also here on Amazon, Kinokuniya, the books with s.com Taiwan. So a couple of options also for the community here to have access to the book. So do not hesitate also if you want some extra copies for your friends and families and colleagues. So why is this important to us to be a bestseller? I guess really for two reasons. The first one is that if we are all here today in this room, we all know how complex and how difficult it is to bring digital innovations or to bring any technology in the healthcare industry and to us, to patients at the end of the day. And so we hope that if this book could serve as a guide, as a roadmap for future entrepreneurs, decision makers, regulators, healthcare enthusiasts, that would be our small contribution. But also the second reason that what really matters to us also is that all the proceeds from the book, from the authors' royalties, will be donated to Wisdom, to the e-Patients Impact Fund that we have at Wisdom at the National University. So that's also why, as we always say, this is not just a book. It means a bit more to us and hopefully to our patients. So what's next now that the book is live? And I guess we might have a few more events like today, so you will be welcome to join us. But what do we realize through the 70 interviews plus we did, was the importance of patient centricity when it comes to digital health and in the development of digital health innovations. But we all agreed also that patient centricity can't just be a concept, right? And in fact, yesterday with Lily, and thanks again, Lily, to you and the team, we had our first interview to try to really understand what does it mean to us for the ecosystems to have a patient-centric solutions. How do we define patient centricity? And what we are hoping through this new this white paper that soon will be live, I guess, is to really try to define new standards when it comes to digital health and having patient-centric solutions, because we know and we have seen it could lead to better engagements, better empowerment, and obviously at the end of the day to better outcomes of a patient. So stay tuned on that. We might come back in a few months with this white paper as a follow-up, maybe here also in this venue, maybe thanks to you, CY, again. So stay tuned on that. And again, thanks a lot for being here with us today and for your support. It really means a lot. And on that, I would like to welcome on stage Prof. Dean Ho, our Provost Chair Professor, the Director of our Institute, the Wisdom Institute, as well as the N01 Institute, as well as the Head of the Department of Biomedical Engineering at NUS. Thank you. 谢谢。
大家好，我是何鼎。很抱歉，我的中文不太好，所以我今天用英文来演讲。It was okay. Yonghan was my tutor, so hopefully that was understandable. Hopefully,
很好啊，你中文很好。
很好，谢谢 Thank you. So I first off wanted to thank CY for so kindly hosting us. I think this became a reality through a number of discussions, also with CY's team, and we're so grateful for everybody for hosting us here. I wanted to thank all of our distinguished guests for being here, and it's a privilege to be amongst your company and looking forward to exciting times ahead. I certainly wanted to acknowledge Agatha, Yohan. I'm going to go through everybody. Vicky, Wei Ying, Alex, Yonghan, Javier, Poonam, Marlena. Did I give everybody else? Yeah, this is our team. Did I give everybody? Hopefully I did. Did I get everybody? I think I did. Okay, it's been the highlight of my career to work with all of you. And for everybody in the audience, what you see here today really embodies the dedication that they put in to commit new innovations to patients in a way that is patient-centric, in a way that ensures that we know and we understand the users we aim to help. And so with that, that's the team that you see there. I'm going to introduce everybody a little bit to the book, but kind of really who we are as an organization and how we define impact. Right? The word impact is often used globally to mean journal papers. It's meant to quantify how many people we help. And we had a really wonderful meeting with Professor Yu at the School of Management at Taida a couple days ago. And we had this discussion about how we define impact as well as Professor Yu. Jian Yu, yep. And I think we share a vision that for us, impact goes beyond, of course, includes publication, but I think it goes beyond that to ensure that we help people. And at our institute, it's very important for us to define our impact by the people that we help, by the trials, the clinical trials that we launch. But how did we get there? And this is a very recent photo, as updated as can imagine. We took this photo at Taida with Professor Yu a couple days ago with our amazing team to really discuss how can we bring innovative ideas to patients. And of course, the other people that you see here and many others represent Wisdom, our organization. This team includes engineers, it includes doctors, it includes user engagement, behavioral sciences, implementation sciences, all the way to payer engagement. And because of that, I think, and owing to this team, we have this understanding of how to bridge ideation with implementation. Right, so we talked a little bit about the book. I wanted to mention that we had a launch event in Singapore a couple days ago. D.A. Wallach kindly flew into town. D.A. is a musician, actor, investor, has appeared in the movie some of you may have seen. I think it was a 14 Academy Award nominated movie, La La Land. Little do many know that the director and writer and composer of La La Land were bandmates of D.A. He started a rock band after he finished up at Harvard, and they went on. His friends went on to do amazing things in Hollywood, and D.A. himself has become a prolific investor in the technology space. And Dr. Eddie Martucci, founding CEO of Achille Interactive, which is one of the first companies to achieve FDA clearance and reimbursement for digital therapy, did the closing remarks. So a real privilege to work with Agatha and Johan on this process. I'm going to talk a little bit about our vision, right? And owing to CY, today is really the beginning, right? It's the beginning of the development of frameworks together. I think what we share between our ecosystems are outstanding healthcare systems, the ability to really bridge innovation with patients, to understand our patients, and a willingness to use data to drive better health outcomes, to quantify those outcomes, and then ultimately show value in this innovation in a way where we can scale. And so something that I wanted to illustrate, which I think is critical as we embark on new AI frameworks, is that we know that we are all different from each other. That is not new. But we are different from ourselves over time. And so given the agility of our respective ecosystems here, we have an opportunity to think differently about how we not only use data, but how we acquire that data. Because I truly believe that we need to use individuals' own data to manage their own care versus solely relying on large amounts of data, because quite frankly, I actually don't think the world at large has the data that it needs to truly optimize and personalize care for patients. And in order to acquire that data properly, we need an ecosystem that recognizes that and then builds frameworks early to acquire the data the right way. And this is what I believe we share between our ecosystems. right? To move beyond the discussion of data and to actually acquire this data properly. I'm going to tell you a story about our journey. 10 years ago, when we really first started looking at the vision of data, et cetera, even collaborating with my father here, who's here today, by the way, a lot of doors were closed in our faces, right? Because I think the clinical community, both my parents are here, by the way. Very, very glad to have them here. Both of them are here. And I think that what's remarkable about this journey is working with our team. I think in 2022, Agata had a chance to speak at ASCO. And for those who don't know what ASCO is, it is the world's preeminent clinical oncology meeting. In fact, this meeting is so impactful that previous keynote speakers have included the now president of the United States. This meeting alone moves markets. I know we have many business leaders in the audience. When they unembargo the abstracts and they're all put online, the NASDAQ and the NYSE starts to move, because this is the meeting where triumphs and unfortunately failures are all reported in a global setting. And so it's ironic that 10 years after, doors being closed, we have Dr. Agata presenting a summation of our whole team's efforts to bring this to trial. Last summer, I had the privilege of speaking at ASCO. Dr. Marlena also joined at ASCO. And then we ended up in the ASCO educational book. For those who don't know what the book is, it's in the name. This book is essentially the cornerstone resource used to educate clinical oncologists in the world, where the Curate AI workflow ultimately made it into this book. And then 2 weeks after, I got an email from the US FDA. They were in attendance at that talk, then asking us to present and speak about this workflow to the global regulatory community. The US FDA is the world's regulator. So it's not common for the world's regulator to come and ask Singapore and what we're doing there for guidance and for advice, right? So I think this showcases that smaller ecosystems, when you leverage agility properly, can really make a global impact all the way towards the policy realm as well. So I think I wanted to make sure our team knows that what you are doing is felt globally. I had the privilege of co-chairing the World Health Organization's working group on the regulation of AI for healthcare. And what this taught me was the level of unprecedented outcomes one can achieve as a community. And in our case, when we leverage digital medicine as a platform for diplomacy, amazing things can happen, right? And so when we look at this duration of work was over 3 years, right? Working with regulators from around the world, ministries from around the world, including institutes for higher education spanning from Harvard Business School all the way to the Lancet, right? And a bulk of this was done remotely because of COVID, right? And so unlike certain forms of therapy, because digital can transcend borders, right? People in Singapore can help guide treatment for people in Taiwan and vice versa, and even farther across borders. This is really an opportunity to think about the use of digital medicine for diplomacy. Right, so the final thing I'm going to talk about today is, as Johan mentioned, we have a white paper that's being developed in collaboration with PwC. Very excited to work together. And a central tenet of this white paper is patient centricity, and to bridge patient-centric development of innovations to then impact healthcare and health at scale. And if we ask ourselves what we want from digital in terms of the impact that we aim to seek, I wanted to showcase something important, which is the notion of moving beyond snapshots. And this goes all the way back to the beginning about, it's not just about how much data we get, but it's how we acquire that data. So I'm gonna walk people through my own journey, because patient centricity can govern the design of innovation. But ultimately, in the end, it's the behavior of the patients and the behavior of the healthcare providers and beyond that will ensure that the impact is sustainable that it lives on. Right, so I'm going to walk you through my own journey, and I've had talks with Yoan about this and how it actually impacted me. And so let's just backtrack a couple months. Okay, a couple months ago, I did some intermittent fasting and did my own biomarker monitoring. In fact, I'm doing it right now. You can even see a sensor sticking through my sleeve. And I did a blood test with my doctor, and I promptly, a couple days later, received an email, which was a bit alarming. Okay. It says, we tried calling you, but you are not contactable, all right? Please note the doctor would like to have a review with you. And right underneath that, they repeated and said, the doctor wants to see you when you come in. I felt like a child being, I was in trouble or something like that. And I'll tell you right now, my results were not good. Okay, in fact, they were horrible, all right? Which was puzzling to me, by the way. Ironically, this was received at about 9 p.m. in the evening. My talk to the FDA was at 3 in the morning. Just a few hours later, and I basically didn't sleep at all. Okay, so I did that talk with about 1 hour of sleep. You know, and I'll give you the ending. It's a happy one. But you know, I've undergone my own journey. You're actually looking at my data. That's not my arm, though, by the way. Okay, that's not my arm, but this is my data. And the summary here is, if you look at those green boxes, the onset of certain metabolic markers from my own blood is very dynamic. It changes over time, right? The one in the middle happened in May, the one on the right happened in July, and the way that I responded to varying fasting regimens, weightlifting regimens, running regimens, my responses were very dynamic, okay? And I've even, under medical guidance, by the way, I've done 48-hour fasts. I've done 72-hour fasts. I've collected markers along the way, body weight, blood pressure, everything you can imagine. Interestingly, with great enthusiasm from my own doctors about the outcomes, all the way down to understanding how my blood sugar changes between weightlifting, between running, and to really use these insights for myself, even to gamify my own adherence, which I didn't know would be so interesting for me, right? If you look at that blue line, right, the difference in trajectory of my own fat-burning markers throughout just a single day, unbeknownst to me, gamified my own adherence, right? So everybody out there is different in terms of how we are treated, how we respond, but even what will make us stick with behavioral change is different between different people, and that also changes over time. So as an ecosystem, before we take large amounts of existing data and try to make sense of it, it is important for us to understand who in the community will respond to what type of information, how we can use that to collect the right information to drive behavioral change. There's a good ending to all this, by the way, right? I actually did not really believe the results that I got that first time, but it scared me, for sure. Even though it scared me, I didn't know how good I would be, how well-behaved I would be to try to do better, to try to reverse those outcomes. In fact, my doctor threatened to put me on statins on the spot when I came in for that reading. And I said, Doc, I simply can't reconcile why this is happening. Give me a chance. And the doctor said, no, your numbers are too high. I'm going to test you for familial hypercholesterolemia, which is a serious disease, by the way, right? People can get heart attacks in their 20s with FH, all right? So I kind of recalibrated and I redid everything and I took these blood tests. I didn't have the numbers in here, by the way, but my results are very different. And these two numbers spanned 72 hours, right? And I had some interesting learnings about how I could improve my good cholesterol through fasting. And consistently, it goes up every time. But for me, what this journey has told me were interesting ways for me to take charge of my own health, how to actionably improve my own health, and hopefully, and eventually, if we really think about patient centricity, even remove some of the technologies from the equation, because we also don't want to over-technify healthcare as well, right? So this is my data. This is my data. And for helping me to understand how to drive behavioral change, this is something where we have an opportunity to do this together. So in conclusion, as Yoan mentioned as well, and working with PwC between Singapore and Taiwan, this meeting here is a book launch, but it's also a gateway to new partnerships together. As we talk about digital medicine and digital health for diplomacy, this is a chance for shared ecosystems to come together, to come up with strategies to acquire data the right way, to use that data that's acquired the right way and action that into new solutions, but to understand behavioral change in unique populations to ensure that the outcomes endure, that the outcomes are scalable, that the outcomes are economical, all the way to being able to drive policy change at scale as a global community. The ethos of our institute is that technology alone cannot transform healthcare or health. We cannot solely rely on technology to do this. We need user engagement, behavioral sciences, implementation sciences. We need to ensure access of what we develop to the population at large, policy change all the way to adoption. And this is just a small subset of what we need to achieve together. And so really this is a framework. This is the beginning. I have family in Taiwan. I have good friends in Taiwan. We've got Kyle, Zoe, and others. Edgar, who was here a little while ago. We have friends here. We have family here, right? This is really the beginning, a catalysis of exciting things to come. And now everybody in the room is a friend. So no excuse. We all need to work together. We all need to work together to drive policy and behavioral change. And so with that, I look forward to keeping in touch with everybody. Wanted to thank CY and CY's team for everything that you've done to help put us together. Wanted to give a shout out to Poonam from our team for helping to liaise with everybody to make this event happen, and to thank our team as a whole, as I've mentioned. For everybody in the room, if you have a chance to meet with our team today, you will be meeting with some true superstars who have walked the journey of understanding the users, for coming up with cool ideas, for actioning those ideas and taking them into clinic. I truly believe there's nobody like them, right? And it's been a privilege working with them and continuing to work with them. And to everybody here, thank you for joining us today. Look forward to staying in contact to exciting things to come. Thank you so much.
It is such a wonderful speech has been engaged. Amazing things just happened. Now we need to group those beautiful things together. The panel discussion. 今天感谢我们嘉宾的参与。我们今天的与会有何鼎教授、翁丽丽以及龙安静博士，当然还有我们的 CY Moderator， 请各位给予掌声鼓励鼓励。
Okay, thank you so much, for the really eye-opening, the insightful sharing. I believe that everybody should feel the same. Is what the Dean talk about is really not what we in Taiwan have ever heard before. We always talk about medicine, drug, biotechnology, medical device, and some people talk about regulation, like legislator Zhang Yumei, Cynthia talk about legislation, but it's all in different pieces. But today we have the chance to witness everything integrate together, seamlessly integrate together into an ecosystem. I'm particularly, impressed by the slogan, technology alone can change health and healthcare. Technology alone can change health and healthcare. It's really a new concept. And then what I hear, I think it's an understatement saying that it's a promotion of a book. It's rather to share with us a belief, a new concept we have never heard before. I think it's I particularly like the word a blueprint. So you see the blueprint, and then it is a call for action, call for action. So people, I talk with the dean, the people say, initially people in the medical field, I chat with Dean yesterday. I said, how come there's no data, no statistic, no charts in there? It's all description, 就没有一些数字，没有的。But now you understand. And I have to admit, and how much care they have put into this book, even the cover. Then now they see that even the cover, they have talked with the concept. And I have to admit that this is the first time I take a serious look at the cover. I just, this is a blue cover. And I did it. And now I notice there's the patient here, there's the doctor here, there's the screen here, there's the digital, there's the home health care. So you can see the 美丽新世界, that this is the brave new world. This is the beautiful new world. It is beyond belief, But I think it's meaningful today. It's the 跨地域, it's a Taiwan-Singapore collaboration. So you are seeing that they have stepped beyond Singapore and choose another country. We're very fortunate you consider Taiwan as the other country. Asking where's the other country? So it's Norway. And then so we should 我们给自己一个掌声鼓励好吧 So we've been chosen. Thank you for considering choosing Taiwan as your ecosystem experiment country. Also I think everybody get an idea that the how rigid the process is. 做学问 we have quite a few professors here, but you see it's a methodology. They interview with so many people. They talk over and over, and the large enough sample 70 or how many people professors here. So conduct rigorous research, and then come up with this. I have to learn. I'm a banker, so I write and talk frequently. I can write a thing that every day, talk every week. But this is a really solid work. But it is not intended to be an academic paper. It is intended to educate, communicate with everybody. So I hope that you are touched as much as I am. Let me first start by Dean. I'm still curious. Maybe you can share why you choose. I'm glad, I'm pleased, I'm grateful you choose Taiwan. But why you consider Taiwan in the first place, apart from your family origin?
That's a great question, and I think to innovate health and healthcare approaches, I think it's important to have ecosystems where stakeholders are accessible quickly because of how fast the technology changes and how important it is to understand and acknowledge. I think we can all acknowledge that the technology has to be robust, that the technology has to be validated, and that there's evidence. I think every ecosystem in the world knows that. But there's so much more that has to happen after that. And it's important to be able to access, first of all, other disciplines. So when we had our meeting with Professor Yu at the business school, at the School of Management, and thinking about operations, thinking about analytics, thinking about beyond that, being able to engage with the healthcare system, and then being able to engage with regulators. I've actually met with individuals from the Taiwan FDA multiple times since being in Asia, but not in Taiwan, actually also in Taiwan, which means that our region has access together. And I think that's critical. And then after you go beyond regulation, you need to go into policymaking. And we had policymakers here. We have more policymakers that we've spoken to already. And then after that, we need the people. We need the people who will be the recipients of these innovations, be willing to try new things, to be willing to maybe change behavior, to be willing to share their data, right? And to have an innate adherence potential to innovations. And I think we saw with COVID, our respective ecosystems were very strong in the ability to adhere preemptively, right, to measures. It's hard to legislate behavioral change. It relies on the individuals themselves being willing to do that innately. And I think when you put all of these pieces together, there's a lot of commonality between us.
That is very interesting. You can see, it's not just the technology providers, but there's also the patients. There need to be a community, people who are willing. In Taiwan, there's a lot of debate. We have Nicole Chen, Zhan Tiyi, the ex-chairwoman of NCC. She's also here. So people are very protective about their own personal data. They're not willing to share. That's usually the first obstacle. So I'm amazed, that you put so many together. I'm interested to learn, in your what are the biggest challenges in the process that you encounter?
Yeah, I don't know if people aren't willing to share their data, but I certainly know that there is a pervasive discussion on fears of sharing data. But I personally think, and I'll give an example, right? And maybe this is just me, but my parents brought my mail from LA. I still get a little bit of mail sent to me in LA. And a few of the envelopes when I checked were notices of data theft. Probably one of my credit cards, data theft. UCLA health records, data theft, right? And in speaking with Lily yesterday, the consequences of such matters probably have little bearing on me at all in terms of consequences. And for me, it was of such little consequence that once I opened the envelope and saw it was data theft, I promptly tore it in half and threw it away, right? I was like, this is irrelevant. It's already stolen. There's only so much that can happen to me. And so while there's a lot of discussion on fear of data sharing, et cetera, there's two things. I don't know if people really are that scared to share their data. And to stick back to what I mentioned originally, I don't believe the data that exists to be sufficient to truly optimize care anyways, right? I think we have to go back to the beginning of acquiring data the right way, of longitudinally acquiring it, of acquiring it in a certain capacity where we can account for the fact that we're different from ourselves over time. Because without that data, what we have are going to be a lot of journal paper publications, but not enough implementation of the solutions. So that's why we're also here, because if we can start from zero again together, we can really think about acquiring data in the way we have to do it.
Thank you. We have two other the guests, here, joining us is Aesop. Is that the correct pronunciation? Aesop, CEO and co-founder. Jing Long, Long An Jing, Dr. Jing, Dr. Jing is the origin from Taiwan, also educated in the U.S., and now he's practicing in the field, in the digital healthcare we are talking about today. So perhaps you can talk a little bit about yourself, your company, and then what is your observation after hearing Ding Ho, share this morning.
Thank you. It's truly an honor to be here to join this book launch. So I'm Jim Long, the CEO and founder of Aesop. Aesop stands for AI Enhanced Solutions for Physicians. So we are really truly working on big data to reduce error, specifically diagnosis error. Actually, 13 million people are misdiagnosed every year, leading serious injury or even death to almost a million people. That's equivalent to 3 years of death from COVID. That's also why we build Aesop, to reduce error and save cost. We run machine learning on 3.2 billion patient visits, including from the Mayo Clinic. They're on our cap table, including the Berkeley University. We are also spin-off of Taipei Medical University. Our data includes Taiwanese and US claim-based data, and also Mayo Clinic data and Taipei Medical University data. We know after looking at around 90 million of patients patients, we see healthcare data is so messy, and although we run a lot of variables, try to really curate the data to do something, but it's really still very messy. So I truly, Dr. Ho's speech really inspired me. There are also a different way, different process to look at the data, to do the precision medicine and things like that. So recent research on our end, we realized for internal medicine, a lot of patients are readmitted to hospital, around 5% is due to UTI, and a lot of patients in after surgery were having AKI because physicians didn't notice, are not aware of the problem the patient could have. That's the major problem for it's actually very messy data and too much of burden to physicians. So there are so much things we need to conquer and overcome to have longer life and healthier life. So I'm here to on behalf of digital health startup, and I'll talk about more from the insight of a lot of big data and also machine learning on digital health.
Thank you, Jim. What you share is very interesting, and but also brought a question. You mentioned about the messy data. Data is everybody talk about big data, and then the various organizations collect a lot of data. But then in order for the data to be truly useful, they need to be systemized. But otherwise it's garbage in, garbage out. So you can't analyze it. But can you share with us, all your friends and our friends from Singapore, why the data is so disorganized, so messy that you collected from Taiwan? Is there something wrong with the system or something wrong with the approach, the methodology?
Yeah, we mostly, I don't really familiar with Singapore data, but from the US, China and Taiwan, we already signed around 35 hospitals and work with more than 100 hospital data. It's mainly because these data are based on reimbursement. So hospital information systems are designed for reimbursement. And because of that, everybody's saying electronic health record, but it's actually not health record, it's reimbursement record. And many of the hospitals, especially high-end university-affiliated medical center, they develop more and more clinical note system or so on and so forth. But they are also mainly focused on documentation, administration, workflow. It's very not patient-centric. It's not really designed for patient. It's not really designed for healthier life. So, the purpose will define the end result. And also because a lot of administration, require these hospitals to do value-based care, and a lot of regulations and rules that makes the data even messier. So it's already the reality. We need to deal with those data and still make something. That's what we do.
Thank you. I think you mentioned something very important. It is not from the hospital point of view or from the government and administrative point of view. It should be from the patient's point of view. I remember, what the Dean said earlier: patient centricity in digital therapeutic. Patient centricity. So really, I think that this is what AI can enable us in an ecosystem where each person, each patient is unique in his or her own way, but we can also connect it, and we can also analyze it in a meaningful way. So that is we are seeing at the beginning of the AI technology and I think it really take time different parties to work together to unleash the power and taking digital therapeutics to the next level. So our next guest, I want to ask is PwC. As you see, PwC is the participant of this project in Singapore. PwC, participate in the writing the white paper. And the purpose of the white paper is to give recommendations to the government, to the regulator. And PwC Taiwan is also participate. They are, of course, one of the big four accounting firms, but amongst all big four, they are most dedicated in healthcare and the biotechnology. And I myself is the founder of Taiwan Mergers Acquisition and the Private Equity Council, and Lily is also a director of MAPAC, and she is an expert in M&A. So perhaps you can share with us, Lily, about also to our friends, the local and the Singaporean friends, what are the industry scenarios here, the mergers acquisition in in healthcare, as well as in digital, as well as in biotechnology, and what are the cases, what are the trends? I know there are significant rising amount of transactions being done recently. Please.
Thanks, CY. I'd like to take this opportunity to share our PwC global view and our observations for the MA activities in the health industries. Our we define health industry include pharma and life science and healthcare services sectors. So actually the MA activities in 2022, the overall activity declined. But we see the
Taiwan or globally?
Global, and actually Taiwan as well. So, but the globally we expect activity to rebound, set to rebound in 2023, and investors attracted by the innovation and growth prospects. And actually, one of the key MA themes driving the MA activities in health industries is the consumerization and digitalization, which is very relevant to today's topic. So actually, business models within health industry continue to digitize through analytics technology, smart health devices, healthcare practice management software, and consumer-centric delivery model, such as the developing direct-to-patient digital therapeutics offerings. So acquiring these capabilities is driving these cross-sector deals as established players modernize their business model. So pharma and life science and healthcare services firms are increasing, acquiring, or partnering with technology companies to leverage their digital solutions, including mining and monetizing the large data set of patient information to enhance the interactions and to offer a more personalized approach to the payers or to the providers and consumers. So in addition, we expect pharma and life science players to engage in tech venturing as a means of expanding into the digital sales channel, and by continuous monitoring the startup sector and engaging in diverse activities from funding to acquiring. So that's our global insights. And although the MA activities in Taiwan in this sector is relatively low, but we kind of echo this trend as well. We've seen the tech companies and healthcare groups getting into this area. For example, the few companies, there's 永越健康 H2U. There is they offer
they
their
are
workplace.
related with this.
That is a workplace digital health company. They get all this platform for this health checkup to all the companies. And in 2022, they closed a US $8 million funding round, and that's led by Foxconn Technology. And then and also several other tech companies joined that, including Adala. 除了红准科技微刚科技、崇越科技等等，都 there are several leading tech players joining that round, investment round. And in addition to get these high-profile investors, itself also do some acquisition to expand quickly. So they acquire the Notebook Network, a largest online fitness community platform, 一个笔记网络. So this is one example that the player in this sector, they are through this M&A to expand quickly. And another example is that the MissionCare Group, Fred is one of the opening speaker. 敏盛他们在 2021, so they acquired an asset from a hotel group. But their goal is to build a medical mall, a smart medical city.
Yeah, in Taoyuan. I remember that.
2023 May. And this, they call Smart Medical City.
Medical City.
Smart Medical City.
Not a shopping mall, but a medical mall.
Yeah, medical mall. Yeah, actually, they have this idea. So equipped with smart room, connect devices, utilize telemedicine. So just like use this patient centricity in digital health services inside them. And And another example is the H2 Sync. That's a company, they offer the disease management solution focused on diabetes. Because they are the first one getting the class 2 medical device. But still cannot get reimbursement yet, but it's underway. And they actually, their early round of investor including the Simple insurance company from Japan. And last year, they also get funding from Taiwan Capital. So all the example is showing that I think just like we think Taiwan is the good areas with our tech company capability and the healthcare society. I think this is the good area for us to expand into this area. But just for a lot of this startups companies, I think the scalability and the way to sustain a profitable growth is the key for success.
Okay, thank you, Lily, for sharing with us the deals and the situation in Taiwan. Back to you, Ding. You're from Taiwan, but you're now in Singapore, educated in the U.S. So you have experience. You see everywhere. How do you compare? Taiwan, Singapore, United States, just name the three places in the things that you are doing in terms of the system, in terms of the environment. Can you make some comparison? And then and since we invite a lot of ecosystem potential partners here in Taiwan, so perhaps you can share with us what you expect from Taiwan in the future, briefly.
Yes, I think there's some similarities across all the ecosystems. I would say one of the challenges of trying innovation and implementing innovation in, say, a much larger market like the U.S. Is the matter of health insurance and health providing. I think when you have upwards of 30 plus price points per procedure in the same hospital, it becomes a bit of a challenge, right, to navigate reimbursement pathways and implementation, et cetera, et cetera. But again, at the same time, the amount of capital, the density of innovative potential in the US is substantial. That's why if you look at our region here, and then you expand out into Malaysia, to Indonesia, to Vietnam and beyond, this rapidly expanding range of patient population, of possibilities of jumping into healthcare systems with innovation at a stage where you can actually maybe make your mark and make that impact in a more substantial manner. I think kind of the Asia, Southeast Asia area has a lot of potential. There are challenges, of course, but this is what makes it exciting for us. I would say one thing that's critical, however, is within this region, there's likely to be highly variable user dynamics and considerations that have to be taken into account. So when there are frameworks developed, it's important to bring patient advocacy or user advocacy, it may not always be for patients, into the equation so that policymakers, regulators, clinical trial designers, all of the above can understand the population they're trying to serve. I think that is an area that's not done enough, and I think we need to do more of that, and that's something we actually can do in this region.
Yeah, so following up on that, I know we are a little bit over time, but that's okay. You're saying at the beginning, the Wei Fu Buchang, Minister of Public Health, and also the Minister of Tang Feng, Audrey Tan, of Digital Development, also say a few words. So if you have the chance, you just actually mention to meet them face to face, what would be your recommendation to them to act? Because you are calling for action.
Well, I think, first of all, we're all here on a stage together where we span industry, academia, advisory, guidance, et cetera. I think we need, in the traditional academic model of multidisciplinarity, it's engineers speaking to doctors. And that's important, but that will only get you so far, right? I think and I will add that in the traditional academic sense, there's a lot of hierarchy involved. right? Where the technical side, the engineering, the medicine kind of views everything else as kind of secondary, right? But for things to be actionable, the technology side I think there has to be a lot more engagement with the social sciences, because it's the social sciences that will see the innovation actually used by people. And so in terms of recommendations, I think from all the way from education to frameworks to stakeholders that are there has to be a lot more of that engagement now. And to make sure that we bridge with policy, that's why we're working with PwC, right? I think a journal review paper is not going to make an impact, I think, on a policymaker, right? And even ones in nature, in science, right? That is high impact in one context, of course, we acknowledge that. But to really speak a language that bridges properly with decision makers, that's why we're working together, right? And I think we need to make sure that the agility and the accessibility of the ecosystem is preserved.
Thank you. This brought to the conclusion of this, this panel. It's a really, I think it is a dialogue. As you see, the engineers or the academia, talking with the hospital, it wouldn't work. And just the venture capital, we have some venture capital over there alone, wouldn't work. It really is the people need to work together, and then the people from different parties need to work together, and then the people from also different regions to work together. So I hope you enjoy and learn as much as I did in the last 30 minutes. And again, this is not the ending. This is the beginning of a long-lasting journey calling for cooperation between Taiwan and Singapore, between different parties from academia, industry, financial, and the corporations. We all work together. I think the Dean and his team giving us a vision, to work on. We always from Taiwan think, we are leading Taiwan almost, we are on top of the world. But today, after listening, I think we are far from it. There's a lot we need to work on. And the success is not just counting on few individuals. Success is really counting on everybody together. And it applies not only in medicine, also applies on politics as well. With that, I want to thank you, to give another round of applause to the panelists here, and thank you for your participation.